Right, let's get back to business. The first Dáil of 2026 took place yesterday with issues raised like the potential invasion of Greenland by the US and the government response to images generated by AI tool Grok.
Yes, it has been a busy start to the year, and join us now to shed light on what 2026 looks like for her party is Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou McDonald. Good morning.
Good
to
morning.
you, Mary Lou. It is great to have
Happy
you
New
with
Year.
us.
Lovely
and Happy
boots.
New Year
And I
to you.
love your
We're
boots.
doing boot
Yeah.
talk.
We're
We're doing
fantastic.
boot talk.
All
Yours
right.
are nice too, Tommy. Well, shoes. Yeah.
Shoes. Good morning. Anyway, listen, as we say, it's been a very volatile world at the minute, with a lot going on geopolitically at the minute. And Ireland, I feel, is in a position where I saw it in the paper yesterday, between a grok and a hard place, between Washington and Brussels. If Donald Trump was to escalate matters, say, if, for instance, in Greenland, how do you think Ireland should respond?
Well, I think Ireland needs to stick to our tradition of being a military neutral, a country that argues for international law, a small country that understands the value of having agreed rules and standards that apply to everybody, including Donald Trump, including Benjamin Netanyahu. In other words, Ireland has to be a voice that asserts that it doesn't matter who you are, we cannot be moved by this thing that might is right, and that the most powerful and the people with the most weaponry and the biggest military capacity get their way time and again. That's a very dangerous place for the world to go.
The EU have consolidated quite well on this Greenland issue, which Ireland is a part of, but Ireland obviously benefits massively from multinational money coming in from America. So from an Irish point of view, what way would you side?
Well, look, it's not even a case of taking sides. I mean, obviously...
Well, it kind of is on
Well,
this.
no, it kind of isn't, Tommy. On the one hand, yes, investment into Ireland, jobs in Ireland, of course, matter. By the way, investment comes here because we have a dynamic young population, a well-educated population. Investment comes here also because they get a great deal here, of course. But we have to understand that is true, but it is also true that we have to mind the world in which we live. And if there are no rules, that's bad news for Ireland. That's bad news for everyone. So the art of politics and leadership is to make sure that we take care of all business, the international front, in which I passionately believe we have to argue for peace, for diplomacy, and for rules, and for the law. There has to be the rule of law. People can't just act in any old way because they happen to be very powerful. And at the same time, we shouldn't lose sight of domestic issues, the cost of living pressures, the housing issues. All of that can't get lost because the politicians are so distracted by international events as important as they are.
I totally agree with you, because there's so much happening here. But the fact is that we are involved in this incredible situation that's happening right now. You wake up every day and it's like, what now? So we all know that the Irish traditional visit to Washington is coming up on St. Patrick's Day. And Sinn Féin would traditionally have very strong roots in America. And you have said that you may boycott yet again if the situation in Gaza isn't sorted out. Steve Witkoff, as Trump's emissary, has announced phase 2, the second point in the 20-point plan, just overnight. Right. About they're going to create this process and this governing body of Gaza. Are you going to go over to America on St. Patrick's Day with what's happening in Greenland and Venezuela?
First of all, those deep roots in America are long established, and they are going nowhere. That relationship between the Irish in America and this island is forever. It's for keeps. And events will happen, things will come and go, political leaders will come and go, but that will endure. That's my absolute belief.
But the Irish in America are kind of changing. I've an awful lot of people who are becoming more MAGA over there.
What the Irish in America, above all else, and they will have diverse political views more than they always have had, but they care about Ireland. They care about Ireland's success and our prosperity. They care about Irish unity. They care about Irish freedom. That's not going to change. But the question of the visit to the White House, because, of course, this is a big moment for the Irish government, for Irish people, St. Patrick's Day. And to be honest, we are just going to have to weigh up where things stand as that moment comes closer. I am very, very concerned still that with everything that's happening in the world at large, that events still in Gaza and the West Bank, it's absolutely dire. And in fact, I would say it's nearly more dangerous now because the focus naturally of the international community has moved beyond Palestine and to the wider world. And meanwhile, Netanyahu and his regime are still pursuing their diabolical genocidal agenda. So I am very concerned. We all need to be concerned about this because we live in a global village.
So
and things
you're
that might
still
feel
on the
very
fence
distant.
whether you will boycott it or not.
I am not on the fence at all on any of these issues.
No, not. But whether you will go to Washington or not.
It's some weeks away, and we have to watch and establish and weigh up where things are at. But I want to be clear: the relationship between Ireland and America will endure. Any changes politically. That's my firm view. I think we have centuries of evidence of that.
We have to move on. Of course, we've all been talking about Twitter and Grok and the child sexual abuse imagery that's been there. 200 cases referred to An Garda Síochána in relation to this. It goes against Coco's law. You're still on Grok. Why? You're still on
I'm
X.
still on X. Well, there are almost 2 million people in this state alone on X. And I suppose everybody has to make up their own mind and make their own call on that. But for me, I mean, you could retreat. You could leave that platform and others to this kind of despicable content. You could choose to live in a cave somewhere and cut off all communication. Or you can stand your ground and you can insist that that platform and every other platform is safe. And that despicable criminal imagery and the creation of fake images in that way is criminal. And the Gardaí, Comisiún na Man, and those platforms have to be confronted and they have to be cleaned up. It has to be a safe environment.
But do we have to abandon it? Because if more and more, we know about the dead internet, 52% of exchanges on there are now from fake things, just bots talking to each other. If we abandon it and you can't make money, it could be gone. Like, do we not have to take a stand against this?
I can tell you, as somebody, I've got a considerable social media reach. I have interactions, thousands of them on a daily basis, and I've had my fair share. I've had my fair share of trolls and abuse. The vast majority of communications is respectful and decent. The vast majority of people are respectful and decent. There is a problem with these platforms and it needs to be confronted. And it means that government, the Gardaí, all of the above have to confront the big corporates. And rather than us retreating and conceding those platforms, we have to insist that they are made safe and that the criminal obscene activity is brought to a halt. That's my firm view. As a matter of fact, I think it's a mistake, in my opinion, for public figures or anybody else to retreat from these platforms.
Let's move on to the Mercosur deal. You've said how the government have completely, utterly failed farmers and in terms of the environmental standards by going along with this and not sticking up for Irish farmers, given the amount of money that it is going to bring in economically to the EU and, of course, to Ireland as well. Do you stand by that?
I do.
Do you realise the amount of money that, and economically by going completely against the Mercosur deal, the money that this could open up to in an overall population is massive?
Listen, Tommy, on the face of it, at least, every political party elected to the Dáil agrees that Mercosur is bad news, that it's a bad deal, bad for farming, but not just farming. Very bad for the environment, bad for Irish consumers. People who live in cities might say, well, this is irrelevant to me. Food standards, what you're eating and what's being sold to you matters to all of us as consumers, even if you're not within the farming community.
But it's 4 ounces. What's being allowed in is 4 ounces of, say, a steak per person in the EU.
Well, look, the reality is that when you're selling produce in the market, it has to comply. You have to have an even playing pitch. That's been the argument of farming, and I think it's a reasonable one.
But with everything that happened with tariffs and America
standards.
this year, we have to open trade. Europe has to have bigger trading partners, and it gets rid of 91% of tariffs. And we've got a situation whereby the EU are looking at Ireland a lot of the time going, why are you in the EU? You vote against us every time.
Well, we don't actually. As a matter of fact, I think a more accurate critique of the Irish government within the EU is that oftentimes they're far too deferential to the EU, and by comparison with some of our colleagues, member state colleagues, who are much more assertive in terms of arguing for and protecting national interests. As a matter of fact, the Irish government doesn't have a great track record of standing up for Irish interests first. The record would reflect that.
This would be potentially of Irish interest, maybe not to the farmers, but the farmers already receive a lot of subsidies from the EU. This would potentially bring in 3.9 billion euros worth of trade into Ireland, this Mercosur deal. We're seeing how volatile things are with America. We can't just rely on that 100%. And opening up new markets and you having a blanket no to it is economically insular.
No, it's not. I fully accept. We were talking earlier about the fact that we live in a global village, and that applies for trade as well. And of course, we have to take care. We're a trading economy, but you have to also take care of, not just in the short term, but the long term, the terms and conditions of that trading. So there are very strict standards and regulations correctly within the European Union set by the EU that Ireland must comply with. Therefore, those that you trade with, beef and products that are coming here, have to play by the same rules. So that satisfies the needs of farming for fairness, but also for us as consumers, for food safety and traceability. And all of the things matter when the produce arrives on a plate in your kitchen. And the need to trade and to find new markets, of course, is something that we need to pursue. Yeah. But you have to do it correctly. And just to tell you, way back when, do you remember the Lisbon Treaty?
Yeah.
Yes.
History lesson here. At that time, we said...
Farmers had the veto on it.
Giving up... No, it's not that farmers had the veto. Ireland had a veto in respect of trade. And we said at the time that sacrificing that would have real implications. We were shouted down by Micheál Martin and others. And now, many years later, here we are. That chicken comes home to us. I hate to say it, but we told him so. So when you're casting these deals, you have to be very sure. You have to look at it in its totality. You have to look at the now, historical. But you also have to look at the implications for the future, for the interests of Ireland and Irish people.
We have to move on. You mentioned there yourself and Micheál Martin. They're names that we know an awful lot. You've been around politics for a long time. We've got, you're not finished electioneering. We've got 2 by-elections coming up, one in Galway West and one in your own constituency in Dublin Central. So a new name is in the game, and that's Jerry the Monk Hutch. Who people are wondering whether he is going to run in Dublin Central. Your other candidate that was there before, Janice Boylan, just polled at 4% the last time. So, are you confident of getting a seat?
Only he can answer. Well, look, I think this is going to be the second significant test for this government. The first was the Connolly campaign, Catherine getting elected to the Rs. That was hugely significant in so many different ways. And now again, in Galway West and in Dublin Central, at a time when people are under real pressure on the back of a €9.4 billion budget that astonishingly left working people worse off. People are now going to have a chance again to cast their verdict on the government. And I think, in essence, that's what the by-elections in both Dublin Central and Galway West will be about.
Because you've got an uptick in the polls. It's so interesting about Sinn Féin, you know, in the 4 or 5 year election cycle, when we're far out from it, you're up, you're riding high in the polls, and then we get closer to it. You know, it kind of
like the Irish rugby team.
Oh my God!
You're great in between Six Nations,
brave,
but you can't seem to get over the quarter-final hurdle.
I know. I still believe someday Ireland will lift the World Cup, Tommy.
But it is like, is it?
You're so alike. You're so alike.
But polling is nice, but winning things is better. Is it nice to be judged now by your results rather than just rhetoric?
Well,
and when it comes to actually elections,
let me tell you, the polls are the polls, and of course people will discuss them. You're right. The proof of the pudding is on election day. But I'll tell you what's nicer yet is being very sure that you are on the right track, that you're fulfilling your duty and you're doing your job and your job well. Because the elections, all of us talk about the elections, who's up, who's down, who wins, who loses. Our job as the Sinn Féin team is to ensure that we bring in wins for Irish people now. I raised a case yesterday about a woman who waited 6 weeks for chemotherapy. I want results for her family. I want results for families that are struggling to keep the house warm, to keep the lights on, to put food on the table. For working people who are so frustrated that as hard as they work, they're not getting a break from this government because they're more interested in the fat cats and the big developers. Will be the real win for me.
You win the World Cup.
Yeah, and we're going to win the World Cup. Yeah.
I'm about to start singing. Leader of Sinn Féin, Mary Lou McDonald, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
With us. Right, time for a short break. Back in a minute.